I had something she wanted, and as per my luck with the fairer sex, it wasn't my body she was after. This was all business. Irina Sokolov, age 29.3 years, sunflower blonde hair, born in Kazan, Russia, sporting a political science degree, and perky boobs, especially for a newly initiated vampire.
Focus, Preston, on her face.
I don't even want to think about how Mother knows where my eyeline is, but so far, the Lazarus project director seems to know just about everything about me. I smile at Irina, who continues to watch me a little too intently from the opposite side of the dining table. Thankfully, this restaurant is dark, which is undoubtedly why Mother chose it. It helps hide any imperfections of my hologram form.
Take out your phone, Preston, and pretend to check it.
Thanks to Pet, I'm the only one who can hear Mother's whiny voice. I can also talk back to Mother, something I love doing, but that would sink the mission. But at least I don't have to look at the damn robot wolf spider. Pet, short for Projection Evolved Technology, is stuffed securely in my fanny pack. The spider is what gives my holoform mass. Sorry, I say to Irina. Just give me a second. I pull out my phone from the same pouch where I'm keeping Pet. It's hard keeping the smile on my face as I feel two of Pet's hairy legs touch my fingers as I remove my smartphone. I'm terrified of spiders, which makes my situation even more pathetic since I can't survive in the field without this one. Honey blue eyes still on me. Lovely Irina sets down her wine glass and removes a 4.7-inch Android phone from her purse.
Okay, Preston. We spread the virus to the target's phone. Get out of there before she discovers your lousy lay.
Bastard. I start to get up, but Irina reaches for me, causing me to instinctively pull back. No touching the hologram, sweetheart. My rudeness doesn't seem to bother Irina. In fact, she's actually smiling.
So, do we have a deal, Alan? Or do I have my people shoot you the second you walk out the door? I could feed on you instead, if you prefer.
Suddenly, Irina doesn't look so sexy anymore. Not with those two long canines that just appeared out of nowhere. Won't do you any good, I say, no longer caring about setting her up or worrying about what damage my virus will do to the House of Crimson.
Pity. We could have had such a good time.
I half expect her to grab me and to try to start chowing down on my neck. Instead, she ignores me and concentrates on her phone. Her people are probably waiting for me at the door, so I make a dash for the restaurant kitchen. I ignore the looks and complaints from the kitchen staff and make a bolt for the back door. The second I step outside, 2 bullets in the chest. Rather through my chest. I'm not sure if I'll ever get used to getting shot, but since I'm a human hologram, bullets go right through me. So, my would-be assassins move on to Plan B. 2 men who look like they just stepped off a fashion runway withdraw from the shadows. This would be easier if they were human. Model number 1 bares his fangs and hisses at me. Okay, definitely not human. The hard way, then. Both vampires rush at me so fast that if I wasn't hooked into the restaurant's Wi-Fi, I wouldn't have time to react. Model number 2 launches himself at me, sailing right through me and crashing into the alley wall with a splat. Model number 1 throws an impressive punch that passes straight through my chin. By now I have 2 of my steel daggers out, and I smash it straight into his heart. His dark eyes go wide with pain and disbelief, so I cusp the back of his neck with my left hand and pull him closer, winning me a second groan of pain that makes me feel like a monster. His friend, who I shouldn't have forgotten about, recovered, and since I was solid for the moment, he barreled into me. We fall hard with me playing pincushion since I'm on the bottom. He pins me down easily and bites down hard. I admit it. I screamed as his fangs came for my exposed neck. Then it was the vampire screaming. He had passed harmlessly right through my neck and smashed his mouth straight into the ground. Sitting up, he moaned as he pawed at his now broken canines. I take the opportunity to take out another dagger and ram it into his heart. He screams one last time before collapsing to the ground. Then I hear applause. Irina Sokolov, standing by the restaurant's door, smiling at me, looking all smug and beautiful. So I stood up and hurled my last dagger at her face, missing her by a mile.
After her, Preston, and remember, I want that vampire alive.
Part 2. The Black Winter. 23 days, 6 hours, and 43 minutes without sunlight. The sun, according to satellite data, was still doing what stars do. Earth simply had some kind of misty black veil covering the entire planet. Like black volcano ash, only creepier. Our best scientists couldn't explain the phenomenon. Then again, they couldn't explain the vampires and other monsters either. The good news: nations stopped fighting each other. The bad news, because there's always bad news: world economies crashed. The U.S. invoked martial law, and now we have unwanted guests on our planet. Unnaturals, we call them.
Let's get this show started,
Purred Mother. Of course, the Lazarus Project director was dressed in a designer suit. Tom Ford. Stylish and snug enough to show off his biceps. Man, I really don't want to be here. But I have no choice. And it's not like I have anything better to do except whatever holograms do when they're turned off. At least I don't have to lug around Pet in a silly fanny pack. The entire Lazarus facility gives my holoform mass except the restricted sections Mother doesn't want my prying eyes to see. The opaque glass wall shimmers, turning transparent. My jaw practically drops as I lay eyes on Irina Sokolov. We all have those creepy yellow folders with vampire intel in front of us, but nothing prepared me for her horrific state. Grayish skin, deep purplish hollows beneath her eyes, brittle hair like a cancer patient's. They're starving her, I realize with a sickening lurch. As if reading my thoughts, Mother speaks up.
It hasn't eaten for 3 days straight.
Like she's not even a person anymore. I guess to Lazarus and the government, she's just the enemy. Guilt twists my gut as Mother gestures to me.
Thanks to the efforts of Agent Preston here, we've been able to examine and test the bloodsucker.
There's more than one kind of bloodsucker in this room. The one who's leading this meeting. But I keep my mouth shut for once. I scan the table to distract myself. 7 people huddled in the observation room. Doc Stevens, of course, Agent Pierce, Army General Megan Tanaka, along with a triple amputee cyborg known as Ransom, and the obligatory armed guard as wallpaper. I flip through the folder, absorbing the disturbing details. Exposure to direct sunlight did not make subject spontaneously combust. I glance at the angry red welts and second-degree burns marring Irina's pale flesh. Ballistic weapons ineffective. Well, obviously. The woman's already dead.
Testing time,
Mother announces with perverse glee, lifting a silver lid off a platter to reveal 3 tall glasses filled with what looks like red wine. Blood for Irina's meal. This is about to get ugly.
Preston, be a dear and deliver this to your date.
I lean back, crossing my arms. Find someone else. Disapproving frowns and icy stares from everyone, like I care what these Lazarus stooges think.
Very well.
Mother acquiesces too quickly.
I suppose you would prefer I send Agent Pierce in instead.
I twirl a finger in the air. Natalie's expendable as far as I'm concerned. Just another Lazarus cheerleader and company woman, complicit in their cruelty. Just like me, if I'm being honest. But at least I have an excuse. My real body is comatose, hooked up to the Lazarus supercomputer. What's Natalie's justification?
Or,
Drawls Mother.
Maybe we should send in Doc Stevens.
Bastard.
Language.
Mother wags a naughty finger at me. I pick up the tray and stalk into the sterile white chamber. Irina sits hunched in the corner looking delirious and feral. I remind myself I'm not scared. I'm a hologram. She can't hurt me. Not that it makes watching this any easier as her haunted eyes zero in on the crimson liquid. Setting the tray down on the floor, I back away several paces. We watch each other warily until she lunges, snatching up a glass and guzzling it down like a starved animal. Trickles of blood spill down her cheeks. The second glass goes down just as quickly, color flooding back into her gaunt cheeks as her body rapidly heals itself. Barely a minute later, gorgeous. I can't help thinking, what is wrong with me?
You may leave now, Preston.
Mother's smug voice crackles over the speakers before adding,
We already know how inept you are in combat situations.
I bristle at the insult as the door hisses open and the cyborg Ransom stalks in. After downing a third glass of blood, Irina tenses and rushes for the door with ferocious speed. Ransom's metal fist stops Irina short. I shut the door and retake my seat. Irina dodges 2 blows from Ransom, then pounces. He backhands her, sending the vampire flying several feet and crashing to the floor. Wolfish fangs bared and eyes feral. Irina launches herself at the cyborg a second time. She's strong and fast and lands several impressive blows. But all of us, perhaps even Irina, know how this will end. I want to look away as Ransom's metal fists pound into Irina's flesh, bruises and bone breaks blossoming in real time. But some voyeuristic part of me can't stop watching, even as revulsion churns my stomach, making me wonder, are we the real monsters?